People want me to do a VOD review of Vitality versus G2, but like, what do you want me to say? Like, bot level 2 gank, bot is over. Top solo kill on a counter on a cover gank. Yeah, and a good match from Selfmade. Both side lanes are over. Mid's winning in isolation. Bot gets another 2v2 kill. Good play in bot. Yeah, the game's just kind of over from there.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the community just wants you to like flame Caps. Like, when people say they want a VOD review, it's just like they want you to talk about Caps.
I mean, Caps is...
Man.
Caps is not Caps from 2019, I think. But, I mean, it's not playing terrible. I mean, this matchup is... It's not very good for Corki. It's a really bad matchup for Corki.
What do you think it is about Caps? Do you think like other people are just better? Or like, why do you think that Caps is like so much worse comparatively now?
I don't know. I think 2019, he was insane. 2020, he was like still pretty good. 2021, he was up and down. And I mean, 2022 has been a bit underwhelming so far. The problem is, I think he has like expectations on him to be the best mid laner ever in the West history. So every game you watch him, you expect him to just be insane. But I mean, I can make excuses for him right now and be like, well, he has COVID, you know, brand new team.
Does he have COVID?
Yeah, all of G2 have COVID.
Oh shit.
So he's probably sick, you know, and both his side lanes are losing incredibly hard. He can't win 1v1 mid because his matchup sucks, and if anything, they have GP ult, and both sides can collapse on him, even if he gets a good trade anyway. So he just can't trade. So, I mean, what does he really have that's going for him right now? Nothing. I mean, his jungler has Herald, sure. Yeah. Just imagine playing a Corki lane for 10 minutes straight into a bad matchup where both your sides are losing. They have GP ult the whole game, and the enemy team has deep vision this deep, and you can't see anything on the map. There's really nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So I can't really fault Caps. I mean, you can talk about out of game stuff like yes, COVID and maybe sick, brand new team, all that shit, but he's not got much to work with here. If you think of old G2, they have bot prio. Mickey's hovering around bot side of mid in level 4, level 5. Jankos is coming from top side mid. Enemy mid can't lane because Caps gets free push, and they zone him off towers. But let's look how many times his support jungle came mid this game, like in together or in unison or whatever the fuck. Yeah, not a single time. Like look at this. Zyra
Well, I mean, I think that this game like would be decently excusable. I think the biggest issue for me is like he's like the other games where he has like a lot of agency. He ends up just like kind of running it, like the Caedrel game that they played, for example, where he's dying like 6 times. He's just randomly dying in side lane, like throwing nonstop. I think that was like the Graves BB game. Where it's just like it just feels like he lost some of his I don't know, ability to just read the game or something. Not 100% sure.
Yeah, I haven't really reviewed many of the G2 games to see what is going on with Caps. But feels like he's playing a bit of a different game sometimes to his team.
I don't know, man. I just see like those types of games and I'm like, I just feel like old Caps was smurfing. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit different than you. That I thought in 2020 when he came back to mid, I thought he was like really smurfing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Wunder and Caps, like they're in the same boat where they were like the best solo lanes in the West in 2019. So they already have that expectation or like that pedigree. So when they have games that they don't shine or they don't like pop off or they make really obvious mistakes, then it's easy to just kind of reflect against what they once were to what they are now.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that's unfair or no?
I don't know. I think you could say that there's many reasons. You could say maybe they're past their peak. Maybe the meta is just not suiting them well. Maybe the team isn't working well, so they're playing different games to their team.
Sure,
so
but like a lot of those are just easily disprovable, right? Like this is what Caps was smurfing on in 2020, like Syndra, like Orianna, like these are the types of champions he was completely like smurfing on. I mean, Wunder was like at a point he was the best GP in the West. I mean, he's playing Akali, like that's his champion. Like almost all the champions that they're playing are the champions that they were once the fucking Western goats on. You know, or like the best players.
So what do you think you would attribute it to? Like, is Caps worse or is everyone else better? Or
I mean, I feel like a lot of it is just a confidence thing when watching him. Like, I feel like he had a certain amount of just trust in himself and confidence in 2020 and 2019 that it feels like he doesn't really have now. He seems like relatively unsure of himself a lot of the times. And like just a lot of the times I feel like his reactions to situations were so much better. Like if you watched him in 2020, he knew what the enemy team was going to be doing. Like he was very quick at like interpreting what type of things were possible and outplaying it instantly. But now it just feels like, oh, he's just getting hit by shit. Like, oh, he's just caught. Oh, he's just dead here.
When I think of Caps, I always think of this like really bubbly personality who just loves playing the game, grinding the game, loves everything about the game, seems really vocal about things outside the game, and is laughing if he dies and brushes it off and finds a way to make magic happen anyway. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't spoken to Caps. I haven't really seen many of his interviews either because I don't think he's very public, of course. He doesn't really use social much, but I wonder how he feels about the game. I wonder if he still like loves the game as much as he does, or maybe if he's burnt out from like, I mean, he did do 2 years straight of finals at Worlds, which is a long year. And then 2021 was obviously not that long because he didn't go to Worlds or MSI. I don't know. I wonder how he feels as just a person. Like, I wonder how Rasmus feels, you know, not Caps. And I wonder if that could be an attributing factor to maybe like his performance not being as good as it once was.
Everyone always asks, where's Caps? No one ever asks, how is Caps?
Yeah.
Feels fucking bad, man.
I genuinely wonder how he feels. Because I remember Caps was like, I don't know if he still grinds solo queue as much as he did before, but he was always like top 10 in Challenger, like just murdering everyone in solo queue, or having games where he would just average 10 deaths all the time because he would test his limits, and you'd always be like, oh, Caps is a little bit behind, but he's Caps, so he'll get back in it.
Yeah, he'll always get back.
I don't know if, you know, Caps will get back in it, you know. Caps is still really fucking good. Like, I still think he is a top 3, top 4 mid in EU easily, and he is still one of the best Western mids. But I don't think he is, like, a cut above everyone anymore.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's like standard, though. Like for somebody like Caps, if he's top 4 mids in EU, that's like... Because, I mean, at a point, he was somebody who... I mean, he was somebody who, when I would do tier lists in 2020, or I would do, like, player ratings in 2020, people would get mad if I didn't put him as the best player in the world. Like, I think I put like Showmaker and Canyon above him, and that was a legitimate discussion point. It was like, what does Caps need to do to be the best player in the world? Like, why do you rate these Asian mid laners higher than him? I think I put Chovy above him once, and people were like losing their minds over it. Like, Caps is so much better at all the other things. So, like, the standard for him is not only just being like the best mid in the West. That's like a given. It's more like, is he going to be the best player in the entire world? Like, that was the question mark.
Yeah, it's hard to say what the reason is as well, because like individually he looks worse, but I don't know what the factors are attributing to that worse play is. You know, is everyone better? Is it just a communication breakdown? Is he playing a different game to his team? Is he just like playing less League, or paying less attention to what's happening? Is he like enjoying the game less, so he can't refocus as much? Or I don't know. But yeah, I mean, old Caps you instantly put as like the best Western player, and as much as he is still one of the best Western players, you can't just instantly be like, yep, Caps is the best anymore, because the reality is he's not, which is sad. Because,
who is the best Western player in your mind right now? Like, if you had to, I mean, it's 2 weeks into the season, but just even after like last year, who would you say is the best? I'd say
it's the best Western player.
Okay, I respect that.
Right, it's so hard, right? It's 2 weeks into spring, but I think Hilly is up there. I think El Yoya is up there. I think Hilly El Yoya.
I feel like everyone just like forgot about Inspired or something.
Yeah, it's because that's just the NA syndrome. You go to NA and everyone just kind of forgets about you unless you're Perk's level of kind of brand / caliber / you know, that stuff. Also think Kaiser is fucking good.
Yeah, Kaiser's good.
He's been having a rocky couple games of just getting caught every now and then, but
I don't know how you view Kaiser. My view on Kaiser is like he's just significantly better at engage supports than he is at like these like mid-range champions that don't really find like hard all-ins that will just like whittle you down. So like when I watch Kaiser, I want to see him on Leona, Nautilus, like
that's
Rel,
just every
Rakan.
EU support. I think every EU support has that. You can like take what you just said about Kaiser, you can apply it to like almost every EU support. I mean, you can start from the top, that, like Hylissang, Limit, also turbo engage support players.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Hilly's been pretty good on like Zillion and shit. I feel like Hilly, it seems more complete to me than Kaiser.
Yeah, Hilly is, I think, the best support for sure. But yeah, I mean, his Zillion is like, he ain't a Zillion who's sitting behind his AD. He's definitely a Zillion in front of his AD.
Yeah, sure. But I just feel like he knows his limits. Whereas like when Kaiser's doing it, I'm like not sure if he completely knows what he's doing. But when Hilly's doing it, it's like, that's a fucking double bomb. Like, all right, that's a nice fucking Zillion right there.
Yeah, Hilly has really good limits. And I think that's what makes you one of the best Western players. It's like, as much as people meme, like, I'm testing my limits, knowing your limits can change a fight, like, by minor percentages, which is the difference between good and great. Like, holding your Zillion ult for that extra 1 second because you know how much damage is going to hit you and you live on 10%, and then being able to save it for AD, that changes an entire game, right? Because the fight And that's just one example of like Caps had this so well. Caps, I remember even when I was playing against Caps mid laner in 2018, when he just joined Fnatic, like laning against this guy, you would think you have a winning trade, but he would always find a way to make the trade winning for himself, even though you go into it thinking you're going to win the trade. And that's just limits. That's just like, you know how the scenario is going to play out so well that you actually make it a beneficial scenario, even though it might not look good at the start. And,
I think that's a really good point to go back to what you were saying about Caps, though, because I feels like he used to have the ultimate like knowledge of his limits. Like, how many times would he just take a fight where he was lower life and like he just knew that his cooldowns were coming up quick enough that he was going to be able to like narrowly win a situation? Like, that was his shit.
The best example is when he debuted against Perks. Like, as much as it's in the montages and it's like Caps solo kills Perks on Ryze versus Syndra, like this looks so good for Syndra, and Syndra should win this, but he just dodges something that was kind of undodgeable with the position and the creeps hitting him that worked out. That's just like a really easy example of like the 1v1s, but you can take that formula and concept and apply it to team fights, apply it to side lanes, over pushing sides because he knows the limits of how far like enemy team is, to put extra pressure on the map, or like going deep vision and knowing exactly when to kind of back off and not look for a pick and can look for a pick, or overstaying to look for a pick. And G2 were the creators of a play which Mad Lions do often, is what often happened in trade-offs was like if you hit top tier 2 and they hit your bot tier 2, normally what happens is you both base eventually to catch waves, right? So I don't know, like let's say you're shadowing top, you're both shadowing both side lanes. Eventually the mid lane will base and catch this top wave, and that'll be that. But what actually happens with G2 a lot of the time was Caps would just stay, and then you wouldn't really expect it, and you would get dove, and then they'd keep going top, and they'd still have pressure on the map out of nowhere, when they should have just dropped their pressure on the map and caught their waves and called it a day. And then Mad Lions did this so well last year. And that was just one small example of like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to see what happens here. Anyway, I hope Caps bounces back, because I think he's like such a good personality, and like his work ethic is unbelievable. Sometimes I think Caps' work ethic is too much, where he is like, I've heard stories of Caps where he's just playing League for so much and so long that he actually forgets to eat, forgets to drink. Sometimes people like have to bring him food because he just completely forgets about anything other than just grinding.
You heard the Crepo stories too, huh?
Yeah, and he just wants to sit there playing all day, and like it's hard to... He's not super cocky, he's like funny and cute kind of cocky, but he is just like... The only thing he ever cares about is winning in League of Legends. I really wonder how Rasmus, like Caps as a person is, you know, like how he's doing. Is he enjoying League? What's his thoughts of life? Like he's growing up, you know? He's not baby Caps anymore. I think he's coming towards 22, 23.
Holy shit, 22, 23.
Which is
he's
like...
so old now.
It's still really young, you know, but, you know, Caps was 18, 19 when he was going psycho mode.
Yeah, he was 16 when he started playing in Turkey. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, he's grown up a bit. I wonder what his view on life is and stuff like this. I would love to, like, just sit down with him and, like, talk to the person, not the player, you know? Because I think that also changes your view on the game when you grow up and your responsibilities change, and, like, maybe I'm overthinking it a bit here and he's just, like, having a bad split. Or like a bad year last year. Or not bad, but not up to GOAT level expectations.
Caedrel still says he still thinks you're top 3 mid in the LEC, but he wants to know if Rasmus, the person, still enjoys playing League as much as he did 2016 to 19. I mean, I don't know if I think I enjoy League as much. I think the biggest thing for me, which I actually mentioned like an interview, I think yesterday. But the biggest thing for me is like the huge stadiums, the huge crowds. I think that was like that was just the coolest thing for me. And I haven't really seen that in a while. I mean, obviously we lost every game last year, so the only time we played was in the studio. But even like World Season 10, it was like there was no crowd, right? That's like a big thing for me. It was I don't even realize like how big it was, but I think I just kind of like want that back, right? I mean, it might happen this Worlds. Maybe this MSI, who knows, right? I mean, Koa is really bad right now, but hopefully it will be better by summer. And I know Counter-Strike did it, and like some K-Corp played as well. In like this kind of like huge crowd, everyone is cheering. Like this is kind of like it's kind of like the dream. I mean, like basically for me, I don't know, I didn't really know that I want to be a pro League player. Like I like League a lot, but I think it wasn't until I went to Turkey, and that was like in my summer vacation, you know, I went to TCL and I played the final there. And there was 10,000 people. Everyone was going crazy. Everyone was so hype, and I could like feel the energy. You know, it's just good energy. And I think from that moment on, I kind of knew I wanted to be a pro player. I want to experience that again. And and I haven't tried that now for a long time, which might make it like less hype, right? But you know, it might be that we can do it again this year.
Well, I mean, it's really just like how much League do you want to play? Like, do you want to be playing League 15 hours a day, like after 5 years? I mean, I'm sure you went through the same thing yourself, right? Like,
yeah,
like that was definitely something that you had to consider when you went into casting. It's like, how much do I actually want to grind League all day, every day, 15 hours, like not really like streaming or anything, like kind of like decent amount of isolation. Like, how much is that lifestyle for me, and like how long term is that lifestyle? Because I don't think that people actually get worse because of like age the same way I guess the community feels. I think just people don't want to play League all day, every day anymore.
The way I see it is like you come into your first LEC split as a rookie, and your tank of gas is at 100%, and you just let all the gas out, you try your best, and you give it everything. Then you come back 1 year later, and maybe your tank is only 90% full now, because, you know, you can't give it as hard as you once could. And then that slowly depreciates to a point where it gets like 60%, 70%, and it reduces every year based on how your burnout, how your motivation is, or how you kind of deal with non-stop grinding, or how long your year was. But I think it's very hard to refill the tank to make it like go back up, because you have to re-find your fire, and that's very difficult. Like Faker, for example, his tank still feels like it's pretty high, which is crazy because he's been playing for 10 years. This guy's still motivated, still grinding. But some players' tank run out quicker. Like for me, I played two years of LEC. Going to the third year, I was kind of a little bit burnt out, even though I didn't even make playoffs. I was just so tired of just non-stop grinding and finding 1% ways of just watching every VOD to tell my team what to do, or small things to try and help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know how that is. I mean, not making playoffs, because I made playoffs every split. Okay, but like the rest of it, I completely. The rest of it, I completely understand. Good point.
Actually didn't even mention at all, but it's